Hello, good afternoon, and a very warm welcome to Bavaria on match day 23 of the Dritte Liga. Into the second half of the weekend, the seventh match of 10 sees 1860 Munich take on Ingolstadt. The Grunwalder Stadion, with flags flying, hoping for a result. 1860 got one over on their visitors today in the reverse fixture. But since then, the two have been going in opposite directions. Ingolstadt aiming to move up into the podium places. 1860 looking to move away from the drop zone. And here is the 11 chosen by Patrick Glöckner to do just that. New loan signing Dixon Abiyama will line up alongside Patrick Hopsch at the top of a 4-2-2-2, I believe. After his first success as 1860 coach, Patrick Glöckner making 3 changes to the starting 11 from that 2-1 win over Victoria Cologne, Danoff Wolfram, and Abiyama starting in place of Kazuki Deniz and the injured Maurice Schröter. As for Sabrina Wittmann, wants to keep the pressure on the promotion places. She aims to do so with 2 substitutions. Kostli and Zeitler replace Seifert and Gröning. The Dane, perhaps surprisingly, on the bench. It is the numbers 37 and 38 that lead the line for the visitors today. Testret and Zeitler with a combined 8 goals, 4 apiece so far this campaign. Big shoes to fill. Gröning, the joint top scorer of the Dritte Liga, will be watching on, at least for a while. Just 80 kilometers between Ingolstadt and Munich, an upper Bavarian derby of sorts. Plenty of distance between the two in the standings, though. Coming into the weekend, Ingolstadt 4th, just 1 point from Saarbrücken in 3rd. Just 5 points from Cottbus and Dresden at the top, whilst 1860 can add a 1 to that 14th place. There is at least a buffer below them, a 5-point gap down to Waldorf, with another point to Hanover at the top of the drop zone. There have, of course, already been some results, both last night and earlier this afternoon. A win for Sandhausen last night, 1-0 against Armenia. Cottbus moving to the top on their own after beating VN Wiesbaden, whilst Dynamo lost 2-1 to Stuttgart 2. Surprise result against one of the teams very much in the relegation battle. There were draws between Auer and Aachen, and Essen and Unterhaching, and Saarbrücken also beat Waldorf. That doesn't change the placings for either of these two as the 22 players enter the pitch. It does mean Ingolstadt can't move into the top 3, not quite, but they could finish the weekend just 2 points from Dynamo in second place after that defeat. And an automatic promotion spot. There is Dixon Abiyama, Nigerian, on loan from Kaiserslautern. 1860's new number 9. Expectation, I'm sure, will follow. He's a confident player, though. He'll back himself to score here on his debut. A few months in Munich to show what he can do. Referee this afternoon is Patrick Schwengers, 30-year-old, handed out a red card in a second-tier match between Nuremberg and Eintracht Braunschweig at the end of December. 7 yellows, but no reds in 2 Zweite Bundesliga games last weekend. The only Dritte Liga game since then was the 7-goal thriller between Sandhausen and Saarbrücken. We take another 7 goals here. certainly as a neutral, perhaps a nice 2-0 win would do for the on-watching fans of both teams. Only time will tell how this one will go. Captain Tore Jakobsen, the final team talk. Lucas Fröder amongst the Ingolstadt players, the other man with the armband and the responsibilities therein. Different kinds of responsibility for Abiyama, looking to make the right first impression with the loyal and, as ever, enthusiastic 1860 home faithful. Julian Gutau, always a threat down the wing. He'll look to create chances for Abiyama and, of course, Patrick Hopsch. Let's find out if he will do just that. The referee blows the whistle and away we go on matchday 23 of the Dritte Liga season. 1860 Munich take on Ingolstadt. 1860 in their traditional blue and white, shooting from right to left as we watch on in this first 45. Ingolstadt in red and black. Pelle Bervink, the first piece of distribution, January signing for Ingolstadt. This is third appearance. The Dutch 29-year-old. He's fared pretty well in his first couple of appearances. Clean sheet last time out for the first time after a 3-1 win in his first game. Down the other end, a free kick in a dangerous position. I think potentially a yellow card for Philip Meyer. I'll wait for confirmation of that. Saw the referee, his hand heading towards his pocket. He does indeed seem to be writing down Meyer's name. Early blow for the midfielder. 87.5 minutes, 88.5 minutes rather, correct my maths, to now survive without a second yellow. In the near future, a free kick for 1860 to survive. Definitely within shooting range. Potentially set to be teed up. Be either Kanyaric or Bezuskal. Went for the knuckleball, the former. And the second time of asking, after it came back off the wall, blasting it well over the bar. And danger over for the home side. The free kick goes away with visitors. Gutau, this time the guilty party. 1860 looking to rescue their season. It was a horrible start to the campaign. 3 losses from their first 3 games. They were taking no prisoners. In the meantime, in the early rounds of the Regional Cup, though, at that point, 10-0 and 18-0 victories, and perhaps that gave them some confidence as they won 4 of their next 5 in the league. The first of the season, first victory coming in the reverse fixture against Ingolstadt. The wheels then rather came off, though. Once again, just 3 more wins in their remaining 11 games of 2024, 5 defeats. during that run, including a 5-1 hammering by MG Cottbus. 4-0 loss to Vel. Picks up where they left off in 2025 with another 4-0 loss to Saarbrücken, but he steadied the ship with a draw against Stuttgart 2. And an important victory last weekend, turning the match around away at Victoria. Sabrina Wittmann, meanwhile, has had no such worries for the most part this campaign with Ingolstadt. They won 2 of their first 3. That loss to 1860 did spark a poor run of form. Took just 1 point from the next 4, conceding 11 goals, though they did score 8 themselves, so a little unlucky during that run. And they gradually turned things back around, finished 2024 strongly, and are unbeaten so far in 2025. Looking to take the lead here. Nervous murmurings from the home fans, but defence did its job, and now 1860 looking to break away. Pass from Tim Dunoff, though, just a little too far ahead of his runner. Confirmation of that yellow for Philip Meyer came up a moment ago. Very early booking. Referees generally like to keep their cards in their pocket for a while, try and let the game flow, avoid increasing tensions early on, but on this occasion, Patrick Schwinger's putting down a marker. Yes, unbeaten so far this year, draw with Waldorf, and back-to-back wins the last 2 weekends. Interhacking and Saarbrücken ending a 13-match unbeaten run for the latter. Very impressive. And that has left them knocking on the door of the promotion places. First show of the speed of Dixon Abiyama. Couldn't quite keep up with the ball on this occasion. His first touch, a little too optimistic, but he is rapid. Dixon Abiyama will be something for the Ingolstadt defence, certainly to think about throughout. Home fans feeling that visitors are taking a little too long over that goal kick. It finally did come out, it didn't go far. With the ball into the box was comfortably claimed by Burvink, and this time they do succeed in getting past the halfway line. Really lacked entertainment, Ingolstadt, whatever the result this season. Mostly gone their way. Always been plenty of goals. 5-2 win against VfB Wiesbaden. 4-2 win against Osnabrück. 4-3 loss to Sandhausen. 4-0 win at Hanover 2. A 4-4 draw with Victoria. And a 5-3 win against Dortmund 2. To name just a few. What's left them is the joint top scorers in the league as things stand with MG Cottbus, but of course with this game in hand, where the top scorers heading into the weekend, so there's a good chance they'll finish the weekend back at the top of that particular chart. Have, though, unsurprisingly, with that list of results I just read out, nowhere near the top in terms of having conceded the fewest goals, 34 in total. It's the second most in the top 9 teams. Abiyama into the middle, it's over the head of Hopsch. Be calmly tidied up by Marcel Kostley. Looks quite a lot like 2 good old-fashioned 4-4-2 formations. Effort was fairly tame, not too much to worry about for Marco Hiller. Side foot lacking the power. After a lovely ball over the top. Without a rangefinder for Seitler. Abiyama was one of 2 late additions for 1860 in the January transfer window. On deadline day, Abiyama and Anderson Luchoki were presented, and managing director Christian Werner happy with the work they've done over the past few weeks. So we've been able to sign very interesting players, a very good coach and assistant coach. Abiyama there showing his strength but not able to retain possession. Those 2 joining Philip Meyer, also in the starting 11 today. That's the 3 new faces for the second half of the season. And Christian Werner saying they've signed 2 very fast players in Abiyama and Luchoki, whilst Philip Meyer, a player who's very strong in the tackle and has great stamina. And those were the points that he felt his side were lacking in the first half of the season in order to consistently reach their maximum. Thanks to the successful late signings and the victory against Victoria, the Lions with some confidence. Plenty of optimism around the club, certainly more than had been the case over the last 2 or 3 months. There was one departure on the last day. Elliot Mateba loaned out to the 4th Division. Pass. Looking for Abiyama from Leroy Quadwo, playing at fullback today. (1860) started the game pretty well. Be happy with how things have gone thus far. I think a few mislaid passes, such as that one from Philip Meyer, and an apology from the other January signing. But plenty of possession early on, and haven't been threatened too much by Ingolstadt. A few more jeers as Bervink and Marcus Fröder take a while to get underway. I don't think you could ever accuse Ingolstadt of being a team who look for a 1-0 defending deep and nicking one on the break. That's not the way they operate. But clearly, home fans wanting to get on with things. One blow, though, in terms of the optimism around these parts, is the injury to Maurice Schroeter in the game with Victoria. Suffered a ligament injury, and it's been confirmed now he'll be out for quite a long time, maybe even the rest of the season. There's 10 minutes gone in that game, and he felt pain in his knee after a clash with an opposition player. Limped off. A heavily bandaged knee. And it's been announced during the week that examinations have revealed a serious ligament injury. At least the cruciate ligament unaffected. Nonetheless, he'll be a miss. To continue to defend, and a decision for the referee, but one in which I think the attacker is being told to get up in no uncertain terms. It was Max Bezuskal who hit the deck. He was hoping for a spot kick, and the referee blew his whistle. I wondered for a second if he was about to point at the spot, but I think it might be a yellow card for Bezuskal. And the reaction we heard from the fans, I think the cheer may be for a booking for simulation for the Ingolstadt midfielder. Sabrina Wittmann. The shake of the head. To say from the one viewing we got, the replay, the referee may well have had a point there. He, of course, only gets the one viewing. Makes that job all the more difficult, all the more impressive. Simon Lorenz trying to shepherd that one out, to realise it wasn't going to get there. Abiyama picked it up, but offside flag has been raised. Looking bright, lively, as you'd expect on his debut early on. Dixon Abiyama. It was indeed a booking for Bezuskal. Referee deeming that was an attempt to buy a penalty, and one that he was not willing to purchase. So a yellow apiece in the early stages here. Patrick Lerkner watching on. Plenty of instructions coming from his technical area. 48-year-old German midfielder in his playing days, took over on the 20th of January from Airios Giannikis. The Greek-German eventually dismissed. He had become the fifth 1860 coach in barely a year. Stuck around for quite a while, but the form 1860 had been showing late last year. And then the first game back from the winter break proved to be too much. His position considered untenable. Lerkner unbeaten in his first two. The reflected shot had to be saved by Burvink, did well to readjust. Julian Gutau. And the ball onto his left, creating the space for the shot. Just wondered if that was going to loop up over the Dutch keeper. If anything, diverted it into his direction. Nonetheless, another warning sign from the home side, and there's one more. Patrick Hobbs, the free header. You can see from his reaction, he felt he should have done better. That is a centre forward's bread and butter. But Hobbs not gobbling that one up. 29-year-old joined from Unterhaching, along with Volat and Schiffel in the summer. He's had a decent season, 6 goals, 4 assists. Very impressive 13 last campaign, which had him in the top 10 of the scoring charts. And was a serial goal scorer in the regional leagues. Top scorer of the Regionalliga Bayern. Season before, 27 goals, 28. The one before that, in total, 89 goals in 182 games in all in the lower leagues, showing he can do it as well in the professional leagues. It was he who scored the equaliser last weekend. Set 1860 on their way in that comeback. That maybe should have been the opener here. Just perhaps didn't expect it to reach him. A couple of players jumping in front of him. You can see the red mark on his head, I think, just not quite clean off the forehead, a little too low. That's what made life much easier for Palle Burvink. Worked again by 1860, now into the final third. Knocked on by Gutau. Tim Tanoff couldn't find a way through the final layer of that Ingolstadt defence. Tanoff restored to the 11. It's been used more sparingly this year. Well, this season, at least. Just his 7th appearance, this. He's a regular starter. Last campaign only missed 3 games for Auer. Has suffered with injuries at times as well. Maximilian Wolfram, who scored the winner after Hobbs equalised last weekend. Quarter of this game gone. We await a deadlock to be broken. Expecting goals, aside from the aforementioned goal fests that Ingolstadt have been involved in, this fixture generally produces them. There have been at least 3 goals in the last 7 meetings between 1860 and Ingolstadt. This is to be the first, not quite. Dangerous ball in. Testrad was sliding in. Didn't quite meet Gossley's cross. Cleverly dinked it beyond Leroy Quad. More of the same, please, says Sabrina Wittmann. It is, if not quite officially a derby, pretty much an upper Bavarian derby, and tends to have that kind of atmosphere, as well as 3 goals in the last 7 games. There have been at least 1 red card in the last 3. And that's something that Sabrina Wittmann referenced in her pre-match press conference. She said, if it's not quite a derby, it's an upper Bavarian duel, with a wry smile. Said she's had the full explanation from the fans. Coming together between Svjetinovic and Patrick Hopsch has left them both touch bruised, not quite bloodied, and back on their feet, ready to continue. No hard feelings, but very little sympathy as well from the Bosnian centre-back. Hopsch back across goal. Immediately involved again. It may actually have been involved from coming in. Indeed it was. See him now back to the left-hand side. Hopsch was waiting in the middle. Not quite picked out by his fellow scorer last weekend. Whatever you want to class it as, derby or duel. Wittmann hoping for revenge after that defeat early in the season. So far, I have to say 1860 have had the better of the opening almost half an hour, and here they come again. Played into the path of Nabiama, who's got the pace to get there. Out of delivery, not bad. Marcel Costly there though, in front of Hopsch. A round of applause and appreciation of another well put together breakaway. Sorry, Jakobsen comes short. Danoff set to take. Floated in and flicked on. It was initially Sean Dulwich with the first contact, then Hopsch. Ultimately didn't test Burvink, and Ingolstadt will clear their lines now with a free kick. Straight over the top, and impressive keeping from Marco Hiller. Straight off his line. Not caught napping. Ensuring he got there ahead of David Kopac. Long throw flicked on. Will be a corner. Final touch coming off an 1860 player. Away fans making plenty of noise as well. Max Bezuskal will take. Bradwo knees it away. It's dropped Shot was optimistic from there, from Kanieric. It's Ingolstadt probably just happy to have a spell of possession here, the way things have gone in recent minutes. And they have to be wary of another counter. Abiyama, lovely feet, but no one there to benefit. So he tried to escape a number of Ingolstadt midfielders. The aforementioned impressive attack of Ingolstadt has been further increased over the January window as well. Spoke about 1860s signings. Ingolstadt with a couple of their own. As mentioned, Pelle Berving brought in between the six from Paderborn, but another Danish attacker to complement Sebastian Groening. Groening having impressed so much. You've gone Danish again. Gustav Christensen brought in on loan from Hertha Berlin. There is an option to buy as well, depending on how things turn out over the next few months. He's described as a highly talented player. Flexible in attack. Not in the matchday squad today, so wait for his debut. Abiyama straight into the mix. There's Marco Hiller. He's got the nod once again for 1860. And Wolfram gingerly gets back to his feet. Seems to be moving okay as he looks to spark a quick attack with a quick throw. Goalkeeper was one of a number of positions up for debate when things were going wrong early in the season. There were big changes in the summer, of course, for 1860. 20 departures, 10 new arrivals. The latest new arrival, Abiyama, closing in on goal, earning another corner. Yes, Hobbs, Schiffbell, Philip, Jakobsen, Volat, all brought in. It was a who's who of the Dritte Liga. But lots of good individuals don't necessarily make a good team. And that's how things turned out early on. Free kick goes the way of Ingolstadt. Things looking more optimistic now, but have at times looked like a ragtag bunch in this 1860 side. Always expect it to take time for new players to gel, but surprising how little progress was made under Yurios Janikis, especially since most of those new arrivals came in early in the summer. And Janikis' new system, the 4-2-2-2, focused on a strong centre with an idea of two half-tens, as would be the best translation. Just didn't really work out. Whoever the striker was, Hobbs, Wolfram, or Rafaelot, they were normally isolated, the half-tens. seemed unfamiliar with that position. And the fullbacks left to do the entirety of the flank themselves. Seemed overwhelmed. Dulic. A fair shoulder barge into David Kopač. It will be a free kick for the visitors. Or perhaps it won't. Thrown back in, sportingly. So presumably the referee just stopping the match to check on the Polish winger. Caught late there, Max Rheintaler. The referee's allowed play to continue. He does now stop it. And trying to play an advantage, if you can take an advantage inside your own third. Pascal Testrat looking frustrated. Decision's gone against him. Rheintaler, a January signing a year ago. Integral part of the 1860 backline. Goal from running at the Ingolstadt defence, gets a shot away and needed to be saved by Burbing. It's close enough to the keeper. I'm sure it was one he'd expect to save, but nonetheless, well struck. Dutch keeper did equally well to hold on to it. And to say the new setup for 1860 is pretty similar to the one which was used by Janikis, but in the early days, Patrick Luckner seems to be getting a lot more out of his players. Got a bit more width than Abiyama, whilst certainly alongside Patrick Hopsch as a front two, going out wide to help Tim Danoff, and Maximilian Wolfram certainly spending plenty of time on the left wing. It is, like I said, more like an old-fashioned 4-4-2. Here come Ingolstadt. Nicely worked. Can Kopač get the shot away? Saved by Hilaire. Danger's not over. Headed once, twice inside their own 6-yard box. Quadwo out for a corner ultimately. And for all, promising football in the first half thus far, a show for 1860 and their fans of how quickly things can turn around and how easily they could find themselves behind. As the scout plays it in low. It's clearly the idea with Kanjuric coming across. And there is the midfielder. Last touch came off him. Out for a goal kick. Good work from the 1860 captain. Of course, Jesper Verlaat is the club captain. Absent today. Not quite recovered in time from his recent injury woes. He is close to a return. In his absence, Tori Jakobsen acting as the talisman and doing a very decent job to this point. Not sure what the idea was from Bervink there. Got away with it. Both sides determined to play out from the back. Pass their way out from the back. That was a dink to no one in particular from Bervink. No harm done. That's not the best touch either from Pascal Testeret. Abiyama knocks it up. Jakobsen. Danoff makes the run, gets the pass. That's a delivery. Overhit. Over both Hopsch and Wolfram, waiting in the middle. More I said, more it looks like a 4-3-3, really. Hopsch in the central position, Wolfram and Abiyama either side. Whatever the setup, it's causing problems for Ingolstadt. Just need to make good on one of these significant openings. Here comes another pass. Somehow doesn't find a player in blue inside the area. There were three options. Abiyama's done well to pick it up, keep it alive. Now deliver it back in. Quadwo jumps but doesn't make it to the ball. And as David Kopacz is brought down. And if the referee might reach for his pocket again, that was cynical enough from Maximilian Wolfram to earn the third booking of the game. Guitao, the right idea, but picked the 1 point of the Ingolstadt penalty box that didn't have an 1860 attacker in it. It was indeed a yellow card for Wolfram. No harm done to Kopacz. In his third season with Ingolstadt. 4 goals, 4 assists to his name so far this term. Part of the Borussia Dortmund youth. Polish winger. His 77th appearance now for Ingolstadt. All the way back to Bervink from the captain, Lucas Ferreira. Burst acceleration down the left-hand side. Ball in was one that Max Rheintaler should have been clearing and did so. In a couple of minutes now left for either of these sides find an opening and produce the opener. And we will head down the tunnel. Still at a stalemate. Decent build-up play, but ultimately slightly overhit pass from Kopacz. One which his fellow winger couldn't get under control. Referee allows play to continue. So he will shepherd that over the line for a goal kick. At least one first half goal has been scored in 86% of Ingolstadt's Dritte Liga games this season. And we're running out of time. That percentage to increase. Just 1 minute to be added on. Half of their away games this season have seen both sides score before half-time. It would appear today will be the exception that proves the rule. Bradwoe with a subtle nudge in the back of his opposite number, which was spotted by the referee. Ingolstadt will have a free kick, and probably the final touch of the first half. Whether Bervink sends it towards the area, we'll have to wait and see. Sent long forwards, but totally harmless. And that should be that for the first half. Indeed it is. Patrick Schwengers blows his half-time whistle with the score still at 0-0. A few half chances. Julian Gutau's effort was deflected into the arms of Pelle Bervink. One of the better chances. Ultimately, a game that is still fizzling. We hope that it'll catch fire in the second half. Join us in about 15 minutes to find out if that happens. Welcome back to Bavaria for the second half of this matchday 23 Dritte Liga game between 1860 Munich and Ingolstadt. Nothing to separate the two in the first half. We're still at 0-0 at the halfway point. Hoping that this one really kicks into a new gear. The remaining 45. Sabrina Wittmann's side. Very tough one to beat in recent weeks. 1860 enjoying their new manager bounce. So far they've cancelled each other out. The smiles between the opposing players. That'll still be the case in 45 minutes time. Here we go again. Patrick Schwenges blows his whistle to signal the start of the second half. Will we see the deadlock broken sooner rather than later? Will we see it broken at all? Ingolstadt games have generally been full of goals this season. This fixture has often been full of goals. We expect goals. And having mentioned late in the first half the stats that weren't heeded to by these two teams in terms of first half goals being scored more often than not, there is another which says more goals have been scored in the second half in 1860 Munich's last 5 home games. So we have one statistic to hold on to in terms of goals that we hope will arrive. Let's find out if they do. 1860 won just one of those last 5 games in this stadium. Hasn't exactly been a fortress. Ongoing uncertainty as to the future of the stadium and potential expansions. Kanrit trying to force the issue down the left-hand side. He ran into trouble, but Felix Keidel picked it up and won a free kick. Young left-back, 21 years old. Has played all but one game this season. Bezes lifts it in, but straight back out. Costly takes it early. It was headed on, but not towards the target. Testret, I think, saying that his teammate should have left it for him. Veteran forward, Pascal Testret. 7 assists in each of his last 2 seasons, 8 and 6 goals respectively during those campaigns. 4 goals so far, just the 1 assist this season. Have a hamstring injury earlier in the campaign. First venture forwards from 1860 comes to nothing. One back though in the Ingolstadt half. Jakobsen. Abiyama helps it on to Danov. Clearance is picked up impressively by Dennis Seidler. As well, between him and Keidel, they ensure it's an Ingolstadt throw and chance to get the possession back in their hands or at their feet. Not for long though. Disappointing piece of distribution from Pelle Berving. There's a scout. A smart ball onto Testeret. Doesn't quite break for Zeitler. Quadwo gallops away into space. And Abiyama cut inside and let fly. And that produced probably the most testing piece of keeping so far today for Pelle Berving. Might just have been dipping under the bar. Certainly a save the keeper would expect to be making, but one that needed to be made. And one that has earned 1860 a corner. The captain to take. Jakobsen with the in-swinger. Doesn't beat the man at the near post. We'll get another try. And that one straight into the arms of Berving, who was then sent flying by Max Rheintaler. Ingolstadt defenders didn't appreciate that. It was late from the centre-back. Clumsy at best. Berving asking what happened, and with a few choice words for Rheintaler. Seemingly no lasting damage. Chance for 1860 to break away, but Ingolstadt players flooding back. It's another shot from range, and this one less troublesome for Berving. Still making plenty of noise. The home fans. Now such a popular club. Still well followed from their famous days gone by. Most successful period came perhaps fittingly in the 1960s for 1860. Were once Bundesliga champions. 1966. And Julian Gutau coming together with Bezuskal, who has to be careful after that early yellow for simulation. Protesting, but being sure to keep his emotions in check. No need for an unnecessary dismissal. Jakobsen and Philip Meyer is back underway. Wasn't the was convincing. Pass back to his captain from Meyer, but nonetheless, 1860 with the ball again. We've seen a fair amount of it across both halves. Ingolstadt largely happy to sit back, it would appear, and try and catch their hosts on the break. Taken quickly, Danoff onto Abiyama. Away by Kaido. There's no one anywhere near the 1860 half in red and black. Sestrat waving on his teammates, in particular Zeitler. To say they don't look like the team with the most goals in the division on the basis of today. It's been a cautious performance. Very much an away performance so far. Wary of this 1860 side, roared on by the best part of the 15,000 that can fit inside the stadium, and one that's enjoying their new manager bounce. Whilst they have been in a number of thrillers this season, Ingolstadt, they're also a very tough team to beat. Lost just once in their last 15 games. Here's an example of why. They can win 5-3. They can also win 1-0. But will they get that single goal if that's how the game is to go? Still, a little over half an hour remaining. Anything could happen. In a fair while since 1860 have been the pinnacle of German football. Staple of Bundesliga football in the 90s. Even finished as high as 4th in the top flight in the year 2000. They never really recovered from their relegation 4 years after that. More than 2 decades now away from where I'm sure their fans will feel they belong. 13 years in the second tier, followed by relegation in 2017 to the Dritte Liga. And that made even worse when they were unable to get the Dritte Liga license and ultimately dropped to the 4th tier and to fight their way back. Have come close. 4th place finishes in 2021 and 22. Just missing out on the playoffs. The last couple of years have been more mid-table. And they change the way this season's going. Abiyama is looking a likely candidate to do that. Another ferocious shot. Well saved by Pelle Bervink. And hear the response from the home faithful. And that's a nervous clearance straight to Tim Danoff. Gutau. Well tackled by Bezuskal. A little quiet by his standards. Julian Gutau at points. He's had his moments, but not as many as he'd have liked. Is this going to be a moment for Ingolstadt? No, is the answer. Offside flag up against Sestrat. Not quite on the same wavelength as his strike partner. Zeitler's pass just too late, or the run just too early. It's Sean Dulwich, just 19 years of age. Abiyama, it's for the give and go with Gutau. Again, not the moment that Gutau was hoping for. Nasty collision, an awkward fall, I think, between Dulwich and Tastrat. Here's the chance for four. Broke temptingly for Abiyama. Cut across the ball. It was close enough that Burvink could parry it away to safety. Said I'm sure he fancies a debut goal. It's getting closer. A couple of efforts from just outside the area, which have produced pretty decent saves from his fellow January signing, although Abiyama himself did sign on just at the start of February. First changes to be made of the game. Sabrina Wittmann blinks first. Is that a permanent departure for Pascal Testrat? It is. And a likely candidate comes on in his place. Sebastian Gröning, Dritte Liga's joint top scorer. Zeitler also replaced by Ingolstadt's number 9, Tim Heike. 24-year-old. Another centre-forward straight swap. Just one goal to his name in 12 appearances this season. Free signing from Energy Cottbus in the summer. Tim Heike, I wonder what he's thinking of that decision. Ingolstadt have been impressive this year, but Cottbus even more so. Promoted from the 4th tier and now comfortably top of the league. From with another long throw, it's going to be headed on and just wide by Dixon Abiyama. Well, he's tested Burvink from range, but from close range, he probably should have scored and failed to hit the target. Biggest chance of the match thus far. Born in Lagos, Dixon Abiyama. Moved to Germany pretty young. Just his teenage years. Working his way up the leagues. Nice ball over. Wolfram will run it costly, get his shot away. And it's been spilt by Burvink. And the roar of the Munich fans tells you where it's ended up. Nestling in the back of the net, 1860. Finally break the deadlock with more than an hour gone. You'd have to say it's been coming. It had the better of the first half, but that's been even more so the case in the second. But a nightmare moment for Pelle Burvink who's only known a winning feeling in his time in Ingolstadt on his third appearance, lets the ball slip through his fingers. And Maximilian Wolfram is the beneficiary. 1-0 as we head towards the final quarter of this game. Wolfram scores again. Started the turnaround. Perhaps in 1860's season with the winner last weekend, as he continued that turnaround here with the first goal of the game. That's 7 now this season. Joined from BeReal in the summer. He got 7 there last campaign, 7 the year before as well. On course to produce his best ever Dritte Liga return. Now will we see a response from Ingolstadt? They sat back, tried to ride out the storm that 1860 were producing. Ultimately, they did find the breakthrough. And I'm sure we will see a different Ingolstadt in the final 25 minutes here. Marcel Costly also played his part in the concession. That opening goal up against Wolfram. Couldn't keep him at bay, but ultimately the responsibility will surely lie with his keeper. Brought in from Paderborn in the second division, German football. But after a few decent saves, that's a moment he'll want to forget. He'll have to forget it and now refocus. There's another free kick coming into his area. That one is defended well enough to ensure it doesn't reach the keeper at all. Kopac didn't get on the end of that, but it's picked up by Kanyaric. Dances past Gutau and nearly done off. Heidel swings one in, and there's the immediate response. And who do you reckon it is? The Dritte Liga's top scorer. Sebastian Gröning on the pitch for a matter of minutes. Has already made his mark. And he silences the Grunwalder Stadion mere minutes after they were bouncing. The opener cancelled out within 4 minutes. I was surprised to see him on the bench. And he has reminded Sabrina Wittmann why he should arguably start every game, play every minute. It was a lovely delivery in as well from Felix Keidel. That'll be his 4th assist of the season. The young fullback. However, has been producing similar deliveries at times, but without the efficiency of Gröning on the end of them. All right, it's through to Hopsch. Returns, tries to get a shot away while still on the deck. And this game has finally come to life. It was a cagey first hour. 1860 started to turn the screw around that point, having established a bit of dominance in the second half. But they woke the beast. Ingolstadt have fallen behind and have certainly woken up. So Groening, now the outright top scorer in the Dritte Liga. That number 14 was joint at the top of the charts with Fatih Kaya of VN Wiesbaden and Serhat Gula of Victoria Cologne. The latter yet to play. Victoria will play their matchday 23 game tomorrow, travelling to Hansa Rostock. Then Wiesbaden beaten by the league leaders, and Kaya not on the score sheet. Another change for Sabrina Wittmann. On comes Moritz Seifert and play left back or left wing. Well, he proved to be as super a sub as Sebastian Groening. Well, he will be playing at left back, with presumably Keidel having moved over to fill the void left by Marcel Kosli. I wonder if Wittmann perhaps thought that the opening goal could have damaged the confidence of Kosli. Either way, the reshuffle worked, and that was dipping dangerously from Benjamin Kanjuric. Dropped the right side of the post from Marco Hiller's point of view, but it will be an Ingolstadt corner. Patrick Lerkner still yet to make a change. It dropped temptingly for Kanjuric. Another effort from the corner he won with his previous one. But that one nowhere near the target, and just put off a touch by his teammate in close quarters. And Groening joined at the end of January, just over a year ago. Scored on his debut in a win against Dynamo Dresden. Ultimately finished with 8 goals in 15 appearances the second half of last season. He's impressively beating that scoring rate so far in his first full season. That's now 14 in 23. He's played every game, more than 1 in every 2 games. Already something of a journeyman career, despite his relatively young age. Brief adventure in Spain, joined from Castellon, where he'd spent less than half a year. Before that, spent most of his career in Denmark, but with 5 different clubs in barely 6 years. Also a short spell in South Korea with Suwon Blue Wings and Greece with OFI. He's really hitting new heights here in Germany. Well, finally, Löckner does make a couple of changes. Off come Patrick Hopsch and Julian Gutau. And on in their place, David Philipp and Soichiro Kazuki. Slight change of shape, a winger and a midfielder on, with Hopsch, a centre forward, coming off. Will Abiyama go central now for the final 15? Or Wolfram, potentially? Or is it going to be David Philipp acting as a false 9? And he is currently in that kind of position, and that's who the cross was aimed at. Just a little too close to Bervink. David Philipp, 24 years old, finished last season with the joint club high 7 assists and 4 goals to his name, despite missing most of the final 3 months through injury. 1 goal and 3 assists so far this term. Here is his fellow substitute in Soichiro Kazuki. Keeps that one in, right at the byline. Can't find another player in blue. It was Moritz Schroeter. He was alongside at the top of the assist chart. Schroeter with 7 assists and 7 goals. Shot coming in from Gröning, looking to extend his lead at the top of the Dritte Liga scoring charts, not just his club. This time, not quite getting his feet right. Schroeter will be a real loss to 1860 if he is to miss the rest of the season. Joint top of the assist charts and scoring charts last campaign. Joint with Julian Gutau. Hasn't had that kind of an impact so far this season, Schroeter, but once the numbers weren't there, performances often were in a team that was struggling. And now, just as they begin to look like they found their groove, Schroeter set to miss several months. After a frantic few minutes, the game just settling down a touch again now. Goal apiece, and as you were, in a sense, for these two. Get the feeling that neither would be too disappointed with a draw. 1860 would keep a decent run going, their unbeaten run under their new head coach. Ingolstadt would pick up a point against a rival in increasing levels of confidence, and in a stadium which often produces a fairly imposing atmosphere. I don't expect either to settle for a point, but yes, I don't think they'd be too disappointed if it were to end like this. Let's see if either can find what could be a crucial second goal. Another battle between Wolfram and his fullback. No longer costly, but Felix Keidel. This time, Keidel winning the free kick. Ingolstadt still determined to play out from the back. Flicked on by Groening, but not to either of the runners around him. Quadwo lines up the cross, but only finds the outstretched leg of Lucas Froda. Quadwo, 8 yellows and 2 red cards last season. He's been behaving better this term. Just the 2 yellows and no dismissals in the first half of the season, and a little more now. And the man he was up against there was the most serious repeat offender when it comes to bookings. 12 yellows and 2 reds last season for Lucas Froda. 8 yellows already this campaign. Abiyama plays it into the feet of his captain. In fact, it was David Philip, sorry. Similar hairstyle, the substitute, and number 5, Tori Jakobsen. Does seem to be Abiyama is the most advanced player now in this reshuffle. The 1860 setup. David Philip in just behind him with Kazuki and Wolfram either side. And a lot like a 4-2-3-1 now. Quadwo nicks that away from Sebastian Groening. The Lions' loyal following, you can still hear now, despite the dampener of that Groening equaliser. Can be positive, or at times a negative. And that it does traditionally ensure that those responsible for any underperformance from their beloved 1860 and come under fire a little more quickly than at some other clubs. And they certainly made their feelings known early in the season. Weren't totally convinced by some of the signings. Certainly with a few of the most loyal figures in the club falling victim to the summer upheaval. Fabian Greilinger didn't get a new contract, and Marco Hiller initially demoted to a number 2. And René Volat, a very decent keeper but having conceded from beyond the halfway line on matchday 2, didn't exactly earn the fans' trust, and they were chanting for Hilaire even that early in the season. Eventually got their way. Hilaire having watched the first 12 but played the last 11 now. A double change heading into the final 5 minutes for 1860 and Patrick Lerkner. Off comes the new boy Dixon Abiyama. No debut goal, but a pretty strong performance. May rue that miss, but certainly made his presence known. And also the goal scorer, Maximilian Wolfram, seemingly picked up a knock there, one that will rule him out of the rest of the game. On in their place, Fabian Schubert and Tunay Deniz. Deniz one of the 3 dropped from the starting 11 from the win last weekend, along with the injured Schroeter and Kazuki. 2 available of that trio now back on the pitch for the latter stages here. Kopacz needs to retreat. Wins a free kick. Much to the chagrin of the home fans and David Philipp. Clash of feet, nothing too malicious in it, but probably was a free kick, which is, well, it didn't feel so. Now, produce more jeers as the referee points for a corner. What the home fans clearly felt should have been a goal kick. Flicked on in the box. Wasn't initially obvious who it came off. Referee and his assistants clearly certain that it was an 1860 head. And Ingolstadt break the local hearts with a late winner. Not on this occasion. Well held by Marco Hilaire. Sent it long, looks to spark a quick counter. Allowed to bounce, but it was not a lot of urgency shown. Contesting that ball from the new man, Fabian Schubert. Can occasionally look a little lackadaisical in the way he moves around the pitch, the big Austrian. Nothing lackadaisical about Lucas Fröder. Throwing himself around the pitch. As they're coming together with Schubert. It resulted in Fröder getting booked. As mentioned, apart from his first, that'll be 9 now for the season. Missed the Dortmund 2 game through a yellow card suspension. Closing in on another already. A 5th and final change. Seemingly incoming for 1860. Sean Dulwich forced off. He'll be replaced by the other new boy, Anderson Uchoki, who now also gets his debut, albeit a matter of seconds more than minutes. There are 20 remaining, plus presumably a few added on. The 27-year-old, born in Germany, plays for the Angola national side. Anderson Uchoki. Long throw into the box is headed away by Philip Meyer. And could lead to a breakaway. 4 minutes added on, 30 seconds in. Here come 1860 with Kazuki. Cuts one way, then the other, gets his shot away. And it was parried away, crucially, Opella Berving. A show of what Kazuki can do. Clever switch back onto his stronger right foot and just about got enough on that, the Dutch keeper. Spinning away for a corner kick. Kazuki, 3 goals so far this season. Always a live wire. Then is sent it into a dangerous area. It was Meyer challenging for it. But ultimately, the decision, the referee's whistle, goes the way of Ingolstadt. 90 minutes, 90 seconds now gone. A couple of minutes in which we might get one final chance of note. Chance it would be to win it for either side. Suzuki, of course, picking up a red card against Auer, and then suspended for the following game. Scored on his return against Stuttgart 2. Dropped after drawing a blank against Victoria last weekend. Of course, all these players wanting to prove themselves to their new head coach. Quadwo battling away, still managed to get the cross in after initially swinging and missing. But it was a cross straight into the gloves of Berving. Game is stretched in the final moments. Kopacz brings it forwards. Kanjuric between two, but a touch too heavy. A roll out harmlessly for a goal kick, and is that going to be that? Into the final minute. Groening looks to ensure, or looks to have ensured, rather, that the unbeaten run in 2025 goes on. We wondered, as they fell behind, having offered little in the way of attacking football much of the first hour, that might be coming to an end. It would appear that the spoils will be shared. It's been pretty balanced. Possession at 53 to 47. Similar number of shots on and off target. Most importantly, same number of goals, 1 apiece. The referee hasn't blown though, as we head into the 95th minute. 1860 with what will surely be final attack. Danoff inside. It's poked behind after it was nicked away from Dennis. And it will be a final corner for 1860. It will be Dennis to take again. The aerial threat of Fabian Schubert waiting in the middle. Find from St. Gallen. Scored 1860's first goal of the season. He won't score their most recent goal of the season. That will be Maximilian Wolfram, who opened the scoring here. 1860, though, having waited so long to lead, only held that lead for about 4 minutes. Sebastian Gröning introduced and immediately levelling things up. And that would be how the game ended. A slow start to proceedings from two teams who often produce plenty of entertainment. They got going in the final quarter of the game, but ultimately did cancel each other out. Gröning is now the Dritte Liga's top scorer. His side remain fourth, fall further back from MG Cottbus at the top, but have closed up on Dynamo in the second automatic promotion spot. 4 points the gap there now. 1860 a little closer to safety. Final score in Bavaria, 1860 Munich 1, Ingolstadt 1.